the Prophet Sword was killed. His Fate Witch wife was also killed.
Got a lethal dose of iron.
Yeah, that's right. Just too much at once. An Inquisitor was knocked out and captured. A ship was set aflame.
Yeah, some fucking crow dropped a lightning bolt on it.
Like I said, if Rethel had been there to see it, it would have been like, thank you, Odin.
That's some poetic Edda shit.
You hurt my crows, I blow you up.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, as a crow.
Yep.
So, and then the body of an annoying super spy was not where it should have been. So,
Bitch.
He's like trying to eat a fork with Jello.
yep,
Trying to
absolutely.
eat Jello with a fork?
Yeah. Trying to eat a fork with Jello.
Either
It's
way.
I mean,
also hard.
that would be harder to do.
Both work.
I would argue that one of those is even harder.
It's
And
true.
I'm with you, Tony. Using Jello as a utensil is a
To then pick up a utensil?
right.
Oh, man.
Jimena murdered a senior member of the Inquisition
Woot woot.
and also found some less pleasant stuff about her prospective boyfriend.
Oh, yeah. What was that whole thing?
Montaigne didn't kill my family. The church did.
Yeah, but he was kind of in there helping them.
I mean, he wasn't helping them kill my family, though.
That's true. That
He
was
not present when the
specifically.
Inquisition killed
No.
my family.
You knew exactly who did that.
He disappeared at the tail end of the war.
He's
so
all velociraptoring, but hot though.
right? So yeah, you're left at this aftermath. I know Rethold had buried at one of the local church the bodies of Captain Voritelli and his wife, because we were done with this and things just needed to pass. We will skip ahead a few hours. Most of the populace has been requested to return to their homes, although there's a persistent part of the crowd that refuses to do so, including some kids who have taken to rooftops to try to observe and sort of gawk at everything that's happening. The area where the afternoon speeches had been made is now some sort of makeshift headquarters where a lot of orders are being relayed to try to bring some order into the chaos of the afternoon. So basically, most, if not all, of the big wigs are there, including Governor Perez, Landreville at his side. Ushia is there with Sebastian. General Cardoso of the Crows, with his second in command, are also in that palace. There's a lot of busy city guards. There's also a lot of really confused Prophet Sword members. Some of them have completely discarded the cloak. Some of them are just sort of taking orders from Jose and Josefina, because they're just defaulting at this point to whoever is in charge. And Jose is not as scary as the crazy Ison woman, so they're sort of picking.
Yeah.
They're picking the lesser of two evils and sort of falling in line. Also, there is Inquisitor Mazabi with Elohim, conferring with the rest of the city council, for lack of a better term. Basically trying to organize and make some sense of, what just occurred. Oh, we just lost Amanda. But also trying to make some semblance of what happens now. What are our next steps?
Sleep and purify.
Gotcha. Got a call. BRB. So yeah, as pretty much the crew that saved the day, you're basically granted full access to any and all of these proceedings as you so choose. Some of the crew from La Baleine Blanche has also wandered up at this point. The ship has intercepted the ship that was on fire and sort of set adrift, with a mix of relief and apprehension from the people on board, because they had no fucking clue where they were headed, on fire with most of their sails just gone. So that crippled ship has been brought back to port. Many of the folks on board were placed under arrest until they can verify identities and decide what will happen to them. The fate of Inquisitor Juarez has been left to you all.
What?
Jose has offered to take him into custody and to place him in a secure facility, but you're sort of given first dibs in case you have other plans for him.
Well, we know what Jimenez's plans are.
Yeah.
Well, he did say that if we keep him alive, he will keep trying to get back to the Cardinal. So I say kill him.
I mean, I don't know what. I don't think Rethold would actually care what happens to him, but I feel like someone not Rethold would mention something about mitigating consequences for this, because the evidence was brought up and then he tried to bounce, and there's still an Inquisitor here who's in charge of the Prophet Sword here.
Right.
So
we can ask Mazabi what he would do.
what is the correct course on this one?
WWMD.
Yeah, that's why when Zhenya had the choice to kill him, she just knocked him out and then gave him to Jose and Josefina, because it was like, this is not my thing. I would love to kill him, but it needs to go through channels, because that was my deal with Mzabi.
Wait, where is he kept right now?
Well, right now he's still out.
Because I mean, we have eyes on him.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. No, there's a contingent of Jose's best, keeping close watch on him, including Josefina. So he's still passed out. He's very much bound and gagged. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess wait till Mugabe's got a moment.
You can feel free to cut in at almost any moment.
I don't know if I want to like talk about it with everyone there though.
Well, if you make an attempt to flag Mazabi after wrapping up a couple chats, he would head on over, allowing some sort of accompanying. Y'all get a nod from the giant of a man. He's sporting a couple extra scars and just as stone faced as ever. But Jenya, you get a nod. Marlena, you get a nod.
I was like, I think Jenny's missing like some teeth. It's fine. They'll come back. They'll be back
Do
tomorrow.
not nod to everyone else because you never met them.
No, he knows the two of you, so you get first dibs. But
Your first dibs of familiarity. Nice, nice.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But Mazabi sort of approaches, and there's just the slightest hint of a smile sort of tugging at the side of his mouth, almost is just threatening to break
It's like,
out.
Love it.
As he basically says, interesting times we happen to live in.
Certainly. We actually wanted to ask you about something a little sensitive, regarding the fate of Inquisitor Juarez.
You see one of Elohim's eyebrows like sort of rise up a little bit.
I was not expecting that we would be given a say in what happens to him, but really, I think that it should be at least somewhat up to the Inquisition and whatever your policies might be for what he has done.
Mazabi sort of pauses for a bit, and then he leans back and he's like, so you're asking me what to do with him?
I'm asking what you would do.
It's technically your job to tell us what you're going to do with him. I mean, I can tell you that before I knocked him out, he said he would not ever stop and that we should probably just kill him anyway, but that is not my job. So I gave him to someone who could do it.
Let me start by saying I am not in the business to tell you what you're supposed to be doing. That didn't work out quite well for him. That said, is there a reason why you're wanting to keep him alive?
No, there's no reason I wanted to keep him alive. I just figured the people of San Felipe would feel better if someone who was actually governing San Felipe was the one to make the gesture of killing him than the heathen who saved them. But beside the point.
Well, if you're asking for my opinion as an inquisitor, I was there this afternoon. Evidence was brought. The populace spoke, and then a few elements of our flock decided to make their stand. Does not bode quite well for their innocence, does it?
No.
No, and we're not sending him back either, so.
No, and I don't know how much leverage would my illustrious counterpart bring us. As much as he would like to pretend, I don't actually believe the Cardinal will be willing to compromise his position to get him back.
Harsh.
So here is my informed opinion. either you kill him now, or you wait for the spies of the Cardinal to do it for you.
It sounds like. So, I don't know. I was under the impression. So this is Tony talking, because Rethold probably isn't even near this conversation.
He's off doing something else.
You know, he's probably drinking. I don't know.
I was like, he's off tickling Magnus.
I know
He
that's
can do
what.
two things.
I know that. Hey, porque no los dos.
Yep, yep.
That's true. That's true.
You know, yeah, no, I thought about that. I was like, I don't know if they'd be into that. Like, Rethold's kind of sexless, as much as we joke about fucking bears, but
Rethold is all about the mystique.
yeah,
You ruin the mystique if you actually do it,
right, yeah,
because then somebody can actually tell you what it was.
yeah. From now on, Rethold and Magnus just like brush hands gently or look at each other from across the ship. Yeah, sorry.
Soulful gazes.
That's right.
Lisa needs a moment.
It's all Top Gun all the time.
Oh yeah. Oh, Magnus and Rethold playing volleyball.
Yep.
Yes.
No, don't bring volleyball into it now.
I'm sorry, I didn't remember. As soon as you said
That's right,
that,
Rethold.
I remembered.
I am dangerous.
That's right. Talk to me,
my.
Magnus. Hold on back there. Wow.
Yep. That's right. There's a lot of like leaning over benches, wearing just a towel, like just
Why even wear the towel at that point? Jeez.
Thank you. This is the second time in a week that I've got to flex my Top Gun memes. Thank you. Appreciate that. The other time was equally nerdy because it was in reference to Twilight Imperium lore, so that was glorious.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There's
Honestly,
Makes
though,
those
like,
fan
John
days.
knows that movie really
there's
well.
a secret planet that has an ace flight school, and people are like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Top Gun meme." Blah.
That's right. Fucking Alien Maverick.
Yeah. So, John, I meant to message you this, but I've actually been considering pulling in like a second PC to be the smart one, because Rethold keeps turning into this like mastermind, and I'm like, no, Rethold's not a bard. I mean, he's kind of, yeah.
I don't know. You can change.
No, I know.
Hey.
But I feel like someone nearby. No, right. Tony is like, I thought the Inquisition's role was to deal with heresies and basically be the police when it came to church stuff. And it sounds like Mzabi, right? Mzabi's our friend.
Mm-hmm.
Well, from that conversation, if you're getting the sense
is
that
that the Inquisition was originally established to like keep the church in check,
right?
And then it sort of more.
Well, now it's basically slowing progress and oppressing the people. Right.
I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm already cleaning my daggers. Yeah.
No, okay.
You get the sense, and those of you here would get the sense that basically Mzabi is like, we'll drag him to our place and take care of him unless you have a need for him.
Okay.
No. This is basically where that's at.
Right, yeah. Right. I just want to enunciate this so that I've got it all clear for me. So Mzabi's like, oh yeah, no, he fucked up. He's guilty as hell. Literally. At that point, I would imagine then wouldn't it also be his, because Jenny just said, I thought that was your job to handle this now. And he's like, I mean, we can, but he'll just die either way. So if he's like, whatever, he's dead as far as I'm concerned, maybe we should hand him over to Jose because now he's also a criminal. and then they can
I
just be
feel
like,
there's a
just be
lot
like,
of
evidence against you. Nope, let's hang him or whatever the execution situation is.
Yeah, I kind of just want like a public like execution. Like I want there to be like the people of San Felipe being like, "Oh, look, the government is doing the thing
Nice.
that they're supposed to be doing."
Love it.
Like that's what Zhenya wants, but you know,
But she doesn't know to articulate that. Yeah.
exactly. That's not
Yep.
that's not her
Meanwhile,
thing.
I'm just like, yeah, just do them.
Which is
I'll
why a
just do
rat.
'em.
Which is why a rat
And-
in the corner is saying the
And
words I'm
Jimena's
saying,
already like,
and
yeah,
Rethel is having a
the
drink.
same thing. I don't know what Evine would be thinking in this very moment. We don't even know if she exists.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
Evine is nowhere to be seen.
She's brooding.
I mean,
How
yeah, like,
unusual.
She's got her cowl up, the little horns, the little ears.
Yep.
And she's just surveying the city.
but yeah, like what I'm confused about is okay, like the Inquisition is part of the church. The cardinal is more or less the
The head.
of the church. So, and I mean, yeah, like there was originally what the Inquisition used to be, but it's not like that anymore, really. So there is
and
they don't actually have the power to do this because it's not backed up by the higher ups, right?
Mazabi is also playing a dangerous game of cat and dog with the legit Inquisition.
So maybe we should give him to Ladreville and Jose, and they'll take care of the public execution.
That was kind of, yeah.
And as you're discussing those options, Mazabi says the official report that I will file will definitely support this and mention that Juarez has been found guilty of maintaining very dubious associations. Plus, now that the fact has come to, and he sort of coughs before saying the next part, official light that our very own sword captain has been married to a sorceress.
Sorry, that wasn't actually in character though. I wanted to.
I mean, it could have been. Like, he knows.
That is not an association that the Inquisition will like to maintain. That would risk losing their position with l'Empereur in Montaigne, who's taken a very pro-sorcerer stance, and the Cardinal will never accept that. So he will, as much as it will pain him, he will accept the loss here and calculate his next move. He's not going to risk anything to try to prove Juarez innocent or to try to break him out. Juarez maneuvered himself into an impasse. If he had managed to leave the city, it would have been a different deal. They probably could have come up with some cover stories, but now it is done.
Well, I suppose then we will go about that.
Yeah, I sort of like the idea of handing him over to Jose and Laundreville and being like, let's whip up a list of charges that are sufficient for an execution, because I think we got them all with evidence. And then we'll give him 24 hours in a cell for anyone to come forward to give any sort of defense. And if he isn't assassinated in those 24 hours, then public execution and done with it, because something Rethold might be helping with, but maybe not, that Tony thought about, was getting this town and this area set up for what comes next if we're actually into a military operation. So I got notes for that. So
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that actually comes up as a sort of logical next step in this conversation, because Mazabi basically starts saying, doing it the way you're suggesting would make a lot of sense because it will give legitimacy to some of the decisions you've started to make
Oh,
with
good.
the
Someone's
city.
making sense.
And at this point, Jose actually wanders in, accompanied by General Cardoso of the Carrion Crows. You get a deep bow from Cardoso. You get an awkward bow from Jose, like he's so used to rolling with your crew, and he's not like, he's not so used to have so many official eyes on him quite yet, so that he's just rolling in, and then he sees Cardoso doing this, and also give you some deference. You get a handshake from Jose, who expresses an official thanks for your assistance in defending the city and its citizens from an attack. And Cardoso sort of raises a gloved hand and says, "I apologize. I did not mean to overhear, but if I may suggest, putting the seals of the governor and the Grande behind your decision, this will show a unified front to the crown of Castile and will also show that this is very much the will of the people.
Perfect.
The two leaders have not been unified in quite some time. So showing that it will make Verdugo
Angry?
have to take a lot more time before
He retaliates.
retaliates.
Yes.
Retaliation will come, but he will have to convince good King Sandoval of the righteousness of that decision. This will not happen quite yet. It will take him some time to make this work. The king has been compromised, but he is still a good man. He's isolated and poisoned by the words of his closest advisors. But there are many of us who still believe in him and that one day he can rise to become the king that Castile needs. And he sort of takes a breath and looks at Jose and says, "That said, it looks like I am throwing my lot with revolutionaries and people who want to break from the crown, so what I think about the king is now irrelevant. I have signed a contract. We are here to provide you with military aid. The Order of the Carrion Crow is behind you every step of the way. My soldiers are at your disposal for whatever you need. We are happy to assist with whatever you feel is necessary to prepare for the potential dark days ahead."
I am very curious about why our opinion is so important. There's so many important people here, and I'm just like, I just have to stop.
Like, because we orchestrated a coup and won.
Are you voicing that out loud?
No, I'm thinking it like a lot.
Zhenya takes on her military stance and bows deeply, and of course, and as well, you can count me as one of your soldiers.
He sort of puts a fist to his heart, and you actually get a bow. Like he's almost considering giving you like the he's not quite sure how to approach you, and then he decides, like, just full soldier mode, and says, "You can repay me by saving me a good seat for your upcoming wedding.
Of course.
Aw.
And he sort of
Really?
sidesteps and, stone face, and as he steps next to you, says, your husband to be is a good man. I think he's very proud of his relationship, and that makes him blather like I've never seen him do before. You might want to watch that.
And then just, where did he go?
He's out helping some of the wounded crows with Veronica. He's putting your sister to work.
Good.
She's
been sleeping on her haunches too long.
Yeah, she's patching up some people, and they're also keeping eye on the prisoners that they've made, like in the tower. So it sort of alternates between caring for the wounded and yelling at prisoners who, are being a little rowdy. But yeah, he's putting the work. If you look in his direction after a little bit, like you'll get like a sort of like waves in the distance, and he sees that you're with the general, so like he sort of straightens up and tips his hat a little bit more formally. But yeah, so
shall we gather the council?
Who is the council?
All of the leaders. We need to talk about this unified front.
Oh yes.
Yeah, the mayor or the governor's the head guy who reports to what's her name? Who's like the
Usha's the Grande.
the province, lead, who has her second in command, who's
Usha's
the
feds.
boyfriend, and then
Yeah.
and then we have the crows who are like sideways, but technically report to the governor. So it's sort of a.
Perhaps we could meet somewhere other than a place where a bunch of people died.
You get a big hand just clapping you on the shoulder as you say that.
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh!
The looming form of Sebastian is just like leaning over you, and he's like, I know a place.
Yes, you do.
Where?
Fortunate that you know me.
His mustache tendrils gently caress your shoulder.
Yep. The hair of his sideburn just caresses close
Don't
to
let
your
Jimena find out.
This one's not mine.
No, it's because he's Montaigne. He has to do it twice on one side and twice on the other, and it's just
Right.
It's just how you say hello.
Don't let that spread out. Jimena will shank you in the showers.
I don't know what happened. Her shop just burnt down while she was still in it.
So weird.
Oh man, what is this PvP shit? Damn, knew that was how we'd go down.
I don't know,
yeah,
Jimena. She knows where you She knows where you food coma.
He was like, I can send word, and we can have a room ready, and I can vouch for the fact that it's. And he pauses, like, well, not quite quiet, but it's free of prying eyes and ears.
And there's
Sounds
a lot
wonderful.
less ears that give a fuck now, so it's all right.
Yep. Mazabi and Elohim are just like, yes, I suppose. Usha's already gathering her stuff. You see the governor is sort of ancillary, like also gathering things, and he's like, I've always wondered about the attraction to the restaurant, and our previous positions have prevented me from sampling the cuisine. And Sebastian is like,
Motherfucker.
you are in for a treat.
Oh boy.
Ooh, first time. My favorite.
He strikes me as the type who likes to break him in.
Oh, yeah, yes. 100%. So it is not long before the conversation starts to shift. Directions are exchanged for the couple folks who don't know about this restaurant, because apparently there still exists one or two people who don't.
What?
But yeah,
I know, right?
Come on. Everyone knows about it.
yeah. Jose
God.
cashes in his cool points by,
Oh, I've been
telling
there.
how he's been there a few times,
Oh, yeah.
right?
We're never on the list because we're always on the list.
That's
We are
right.
the list.
Yep.
That this saves on ink. They don't have to write us in every damn time. So yeah, some orders are being given. You see a lot of the black cloaks are being escorted, is sort of a big word, because they're shoved, pushed, some of them carried towards the one of the guardhouses. Apparently they're going to use one of the facilities closer to the governor's mansion to get these people in and try to get some information out of them.
Yeah, once we're done with them, though, I'm like, we know some ships that can go pretty far port of call to release them.
Oh yeah.
If we're not keeping them detained, because we don't need extra
I mean,
mouths to
we
feed
can-
if we're coming up on a siege.
We can always just detain them.
I was gonna say we do have
On
an
a
island
day.
fortress now.
Yeah.
I thought about that, and I was like, I guess, but I don't know. It's a lot of trained, dedicated troopers in one spot, and I'm like, you know.
That's true. Separate them.
But yeah, so some cleanup orders, marching orders are being given. And before long, most of the folks at the square are sort of moving in a different direction. Many of the leaders heading towards the restaurant, where Rethold, you would get word sent to you if you've chosen a separate venue to celebrate. Your drinking and revealing is being interrupted by a member of the city guard who claims to be here on behalf of Captain Jose.
So I think the drinking would be mobile.
Yeah.
Because I think I think I'd give Rethold at least this much credit. I took some dots in warfare. That I would confirm with the guild office that due to recent acts by the Prophet's Sword, there may be cause to believe that a sudden blockade might occur in San Felipe, and that should that happen, our agents outside and in places of influence would have the opportunity to bitch about it very quickly.
Yep.
As well as because we miss home. Talking to who has the dock that we hid our ship in? But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Inga.
Yeah, that we could commission Inga to crack out some raiding ships for recreation. You know, just some of them old longboats that are nice and shallow draft that can go upriver, etc.
Oh yeah.
Because those are great for getting out to a blockade, fucking up a couple ships and getting out.
Yep. Totally.
And I would also want to try and get all of the Mendez y Mendez navy plus La Belle and Blanche out of the port to San Jose del Sur or Teodora.
Yep.
Because I looked at the map. and then grab some crows who are good at mountaineering, and place them in the near Aldena and aspire to, because they can't control all of the Grandes if we need to send word to Avalon, break the blockade.
Perfect. Yeah, if you want to go and drink on the road while you're giving these marching orders, Inga and the shipwrights, our eyes light up if you make that suggestion, because the prospect of working on some longboats is just
It's too great.
it's uncharted territory, and they're loving it. So they're absolutely all over it. So you're on your tour when you do get this very out of breath city guard running after you. You can probably tell that poor boy has been trying to track your movements, and he was probably 10 minutes too late at every location.
I
right?
see him panting, and I just hand him the mug. There's a little bit left, and I'm like, "Go ahead."
Yeah. he sort of he pauses and then just takes it and he drinks it and then hands it back and says, after regaining some of his composure, I come bearing a message of Captain Jose. The captain would like to say that you are called to an official city meeting at the usual spot. He said you would understand. I hope you do.
I pass him back the mug, and I'm like, "You finished it. You get to keep this. Okay, thank you." And then I go off the other direction.
He sort of stands there like for a little bit, and then
Like,
just
I imagine
leans
walking
into
by
it.
him and just like putting it into his gut chest, and then patting him on the back, like, "Okay."
Yeah, he stays there, like he just lets that wash over him for a bit, and then he's just like leans into it and starts gulping a little bit as he's regaining his composure.
Poor little thing.
Jimena, while all of this is happening, you're sort of hanging out with Rodrigo, who's been following you around. You did some of your ugly crying earlier. There's been a day for feelings, right? And as everybody starts to disperse, Rodrigo sort of looks at the bodies of the Inquisitor and his cronies, and he finally says, what do you think we should do with them?
Jimena kind of are they still in the like the kind of enclosed fortified area?
Yep. In fact, there's been a lot of cleanup happening with the violence with which they've been murdered. People have not touched them. They just left them there where they dropped.
Jimena's like, because she's Castilian, so for them, you bury people.
Yep.
That's a good Christian burial.
But
She's
are
like,
they
"Here."
good Christians?
Well, we are at least Jimena and Rodrigo are both very Catholic, so
Yep.
Well, I meant do the Inquisitors deserve that?
well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're
So we're gonna
They're good.
pile them up on this big wooden stage that's here in the middle of this thing.
Set it on fire.
We're gonna set it on fire.
oh yeah.
This stage is on fire. Sorry.
But yeah, Jimena's basically
Wait.
like, here, like, help me move them.
There's like a moth or something.
Yeah.
in the room.
Rodrigo helps without hesitation.
So we pile them on the wooden stage. And I strike my little thingy that Rethold made for me. And then I put my hand out with a little flame in it, and I go, here, together. He puts his hand in mine. And
you get a hand close to yours, almost shaking at first, and then he assists.
And we set them ablaze, and I'm sure it smells terrible.
Oh yeah.
And we hug as we watch the bodies burn.
Absolutely. Rodrigo is silent for the first few minutes as the blaze consumes them, and then, like he's been looking for the words, he says, I did some awful things while I was in captivity. They made me do things, cousin. They used my powers, and I tried to fight it. And for the most part, I was able to, but when you're hurt and hungry and in pain enough, sometimes you're just not strong enough. I don't want that to happen again.
Jimena kind of tightens her grip around his shoulder, and she's like, don't worry. We're together. I'll make sure it doesn't happen. I pat him.
Yeah, he seems to take some comfort in that. There's a couple words that come after that, but there's almost no voice behind it.
Aww.
Like he tries to say something and it comes out it just, so he stops.
Jimena kind of, she's just like, like you said, I don't know what accent is coming out of my mouth, but they made you do those things. You didn't really want to, so I don't judge you. You're right. You'll do a lot of things when you're hurt and hungry and tired. But those aren't you. So don't
when
worry.
You say, I don't judge you, it starts again. You can feel the jump in his shoulders. He's looking at something that's not there. Like he's looking at the fire, like he's seeing something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a couple quiet sobs, he said, I'm happy they lied and that you're still alive.
Oh.
After a bit, he sort of makes a really dramatic sniff, it's lasting way too long, and he wipes his face with his sleeve and claps his hand together, and he's like, all right, I think I've seen these assholes burn long enough. I need a beer.
Jimena's like, I agree with you. I think that's a good idea.
He sort of hooks his arm into yours, and he's like, lead the way. I was pretty drunk last time we went to the restaurant. I don't know if I can remember the way.
Oh, don't worry, I know it.
You get an elbow in your ribs. He's like, oh, I bet you do.
She's like, what? They have good food there.
Yeah, no,
Good candy
I hear. They got
They
good
have good
food
drinks too,
and
because
good
someone
food.
is thirsty.
He's the whole way there. Rodrigo, like it's the best way to keep his mind off things is just trying to be like, so what's the story? You need to tell your cousin. It's like, I don't mind helping you in there. Like I'm gonna be I'm gonna help you, but I gotta know.
And then I was like, Rodrigo, no offense, but I feel like you'd be the worst wingman. Like,
Please don't help me.
He's
I remember some of your escapades
Let's go.
back at home. They did not work out well for you.
he looks incredibly offended for a moment, and then he that sort of follows, and then he's like, no, I guess you're right. It's probably better you don't tell me anything and you keep me out of it. You seal the deal and then you tell me.
Like, wow, we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it.
Right now, I just need a basket of bread.
Yeah.
Or go for the
Right.
steak later.
Yeah.
Man, steak earlier. Yum.
So in small groups, you all start to funnel towards the restaurant. Ricardo and Veronica come to meet you, Genia.
I was like, she stays until they're ready to go.
Yeah, there's some marching orders being given to some of the crows, and they sort of fall into that, and a lot of Jose's folks are also there helping out. Most of the prisoners have been taken out, so after a while, they're both ready to go. Ricardo is sufficiently bandaged at this point.
Oh, he's
So-
been healed.
Yes. Oh, that's right. You use your healing. Your healing.
Oh, sorry, I just had a thought. Where is Lavinia? Is she still standing there? I think we should.
Still creepily standing in the middle.
I
of the...
think I should fetch the other favorite.
Yes, unless you go and fetch her. She's sort of in the middle of things. Like she just stopped where her last action was taken.
You need to wind the key up in her back again.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. People keep forgetting to move her miniature, so she keeps stopping at the last action she took.
No. Yeah, I'll go find her. I might. I don't know if I want to. Nah, it's fine. Yeah, I'll find her.
Yeah, she's sort of in the middle of the square. Pretty much where she was last after she accompanied Rethold to the little chapel where those
After
Portet and his dad were buried, and
after
then
we do
returned
that,
to the square.
I probably would have been like, go get some lunch, or something. Yeah. They're like, go be a human. Shoot. I got drinking to do.
Yep. She did find some food at some point,
Did she?
but this is now done.
Okay. Well, I let her know that we're meeting at the restaurante and she should come with.
She immediately sort of follows to your side at that mention.
Oh, we're a really big group this time, guys.
Yeah, she says, lead the way.
Yes. What is Leandro doing? Is he at the shop still?
Yep, Leandro's still at the shop.
Was like,
I should go pick him up too. Might as well. We're all gonna be there.
Sure. Do you walk all the way down in complete silence?
I
Because
mean,
Lavinia just follows you.
She does.
AKA yes, they do.
Yeah.
I guess. I'm not sure what I would say.
Yo, bitch, you hungry?
I mean, mostly I would be like, I would ask if she's doing all right.
You get a yes.
All right.
I think I'm fine.
Well, I am going to take you to my
Arnie
shop.
was never really okay.
Right?
But she
That's
said
the big
she
question.
thinks she's fine, so she's
Perhaps you can
Very
find something
happy.
to do at my shop later.
Is that what you would like me to do?
Perhaps there are other Strega there.
Really?
Yes.
How do you sew?
She sort of seems to mull over this for a moment.
9 o'clock p.m.
It is?
There you go.
It is that time. The time for the
Fucking
meds.
robot. Yeah, she seems to mull over that for a moment and says, and they're safe.
Well, we are never truly safe, but as much as we can be.
They've had a better hand giving to them than Carmelita.
Certainly. It was not something I did because I enjoyed it.
I think she knew.
I also think she knew.
She made some difficult decisions, but I think she knew it would be her fate sooner or later.
Well, it all comes to us eventually. I do not know if I will live a full lifetime either. The choices I make may put me at odds with people that will kill me before it is my natural time to go.
But you have strong friends.
Yes, I do. I am very fortunate in that.
And your husband seems to love and care for you, unlike her first husband. If that had been the case, maybe she would not have been here.
Very likely. We are sometimes shaped by the things that occur to us instead of what we choose. It is true. I am fortunate in that way.
Would it be wrong if I said I feel a little sad for her?
No, that is not wrong at all.
Actually, that's correct.
Do you know what went through her head when you killed her?
I
My knife?
can.
Sorry.
That's why I started
I
laughing.
set it up.
Damn it!
I set it up. It is your responsibility to bring it home.
Yup, we swung at that, and there's a home run. Good job.
What went through that?
This is why I love this crew.
What went through that
You-
bug's
you-
mind when it hit the windshield? It's ass. Ah.
That's right. This is why.
Oh my goodness. Well, I say I can only guess.
It was relief.
Hmm.
And I think she was happy it was you.
That is strange, but not surprising.
Is it? She spent a lot of time fighting fate, but she knew it would not last forever.
I feel like you have said this before. Did you know her?
Yes.
Oh.
As much as we can know one another. You know, the princes and fathers and husband do not want us to create links with one another.
Yes, that is true. There is some. I can understand the concern, because if we are very ill-disciplined, we can cause a lot of trouble for a great many people and ourselves. This is why we have to, well, everything we do with our power, we have to think about it very carefully before we do it. It is even harder when nobody is holding your leash, so to speak. Every decision needs to be thought of many times over, and sometimes you may have to just side on something anyway, despite not having time to think of it carefully. You can only hope that it is the best decision you can make at the time. But I would I would not trade my life for anything.
I know. And that makes sense. But that's why I'm telling you, it should not be surprising.
Hmm.
Carmelita died, but someone else will continue to rise against the princes. Differently.
Yes. I see. Well, there is much work to do before we get to a point where that could occur. But I do think a lot of it at first is going to be talking about the principles by which we will govern ourselves.
Maybe I would like to see where that leads.
You would be welcome to participate if you wish.
She sort of nods
But in the meantime,
quietly.
there is plenty of work I can have you do if you would like.
I'd be happy to try.
Wonderful. So, when I get to the shop, probably closing by now, I would assume.
Yep. They're wrapping up and closing. Leandro actually comes out to meet you and Lavinia. Like he sort of looks like he's wanting to ask you how it went, but at the same time sort of waiting.
I mean, I go to him and I give him the biggest hug,
Oh. Get a hug back.
because
Just
that
as
was it was like pretty touch and go for a second there. And I say, how was the shop? I assume there probably was not a whole lot of traffic, given that there was something to drive everyone's attention.
quiet. The area has been mostly empty.
Well, it seems that we are going to be meeting at the Restaurante Salazar. I wanted to ask if you would like to join us.
I would be happy to.
Good.
He actually takes your arm and then also bows his head slightly and says, "Oh, hello, Lavinia. Are you coming with us?" And she just says, "Yes."
I think before
And-
we head back out, I'd probably go and introduce Lavinia to the others that work in the
Oh,
shop.
sure. Yeah.
Just, so she at least sees things.
Yeah.
Here
You
go,
get some
ladies.
introductions.
Here go, ladies. This one's still feral. Just watch out.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of introductions. The older Stregas are sort of like, oh yeah, I know that look, right? Like, so they're sort of more cautious with her and more I guess reserved. They exchange names and they say like, if you want to come and work with us, at any point, feel free. We'd be happy to have you, right? But yeah, before long, they sort of busy themselves with closing the shop, and you start to make your way to the restaurant with Leandro. And yeah, on the way there, I assume you're sort of giving the cliff notes
Yeah.
of what has occurred.
Oh yeah. Lots of things.
Yeah. So Sebastian had sent word ahead of time. So by the time all the various groups arrive to the restaurant, there's still a line at the door, but there is someone posted there beside the line who apparently knows to usher in specific people, because without a word, you, Eddie, and all of you are sort of brought in again under the incredulous eyes of people who seemingly have been waiting there for a while, wearing their finest.
Since the last time we were there. That's how long they've been.
Yep.
And are we still all covered with blood and shit?
I mean,
Probably.
yeah.
Unless you made an attempt to clean that up.
I mean,
you are as you are.
That's why I take my clothes off.
Right?
When I jump in the ocean.
Can ruin your shirt and pants if you run into battle naked.
I paddle around in the ocean for a minute, crawl out.
I mean, I literally went to a clothing store, so I could have done something about that.
Yep. But hey, maybe they don't want that. Maybe they just want to keep wearing the spoils of the day.
I mean, Jenya looks like a pincushion, so...
Right. Yeah, Jenya took a beating.
And then I kind of feels around on her, like, bandolier of things, and is like, "This one, is this it?" And she, like, pops it open, like, "Okay, yeah, this is it. Here, come here." Like, sprinkles it on them. Smell like burning hair and shit. Like, there, now we smell better, I think.
Well, now you're a light shade of mauve.
Right? It's like, I think this is perfume.
Yeah, it's like, this one should be it. We'll see. I apologize in advance.
I smell it and I don't throw up, so it should be okay.
Right?
Yep. So yeah, you are led to the large alcove close to the kitchen that is familiar to so many of you by this point. And it is set for a lot of people. You notice that normally it's set for multiple small round tables. This time there's a large round table that got rolled in with a few smaller ones close by there. And a few people are here already, including Usha. Sebastian is standing up, gesticulating and, entertaining Governor Perez and Landreville, who are sort of seated next to Usha. Inquisitor Mazabi is here with Elohim, sort of taking in a little bit of the scenery. Elohim is sort of standing super straight, but Mazabi seems to be soaking it in with a bit of an amused.
Ever relax? Like,
probably not.
I'm like, Jenya loves him.
He might be a robot. You don't
Like,
know.
why? I mean, like, if I was taken, I might go for that too, honestly.
She's just so impressed with, like, what a fucking good soldier he is. And she's just like, I like the one I have, but you're very nice.
Cardoso is sitting with the city leaders, sort of discussing various things, but Beata is at the bar where the old man is standing, and she's smoking the most obnoxious cigar. Like, this thing is just like this long, and
it stinks. I picked it because it's ferocious.
Yep, that's right. It's like this cigar just insults you, right? Like it talks nasty to you when you light it.
Oh gosh.
Hell yeah.
Um, so yeah, like she's there and like she looks like she's trying to decide what to drink, but not like what am I gonna order. She's just ordering things and having him like drop them on the bar, and then she's gonna decide what she's gonna pick first. And Sebastian, as you start arriving, most of you arriving close to around the same time, just is his usual self and sort of jump away from the table after holding up one finger in the middle of a story and goes to give you all a big hug and gesturing towards the table. Says, I hope you don't mind. I invited one or two more people that I feel should be part of this discussion. And almost on cue, not from the front door, but probably from the secret entrance, arrives what you recognize as Luna Maria,
Oh shit.
accompanied by Madame Salvadora herself.
Oh, shit. Seen them outside before.
Out of the abode, and
Holy shit.
she is dressed for a night on the town. She is dressed to the nines. Her hair is up in some crazy, intricate dealio that you can't even begin to comprehend how long that must have taken.
So intricate, it's a dealio.
Right? You're like, was she expecting this invitation?
Of
Because
course she was.
she's here, and that must have taken hours. So was she just? You're sort of puzzling as to was she just like sitting there waiting to be invited? Like, I don't know how this works.
She just had it in the closet the whole time.
No, this is like that every day because she is the queen. That's just what she lounges in.
Yeah, Luna Maria is basically she's dressed like a fancy butler, and is the one accompanying Salvadora, like holding her arm up, white gloves and everything, and basically leads her to the room. The moment she sees you,
Are they a thing?
the courtly manners sort of drop, and Salvadora is like, your mom's best friend that hasn't seen you in so long, and she's just delighted to see you all in one spot. And Rethold, you see the imposing figure of Guildmaster Ostafir of the Vendel League, your main contact in San Felipe, just full dressed. You get a big grin as she sees you.
Bolt up and like I shout a greeting at her, and like if there's any other Vestin in the house, they're it's one of those call and response greetings.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it
absolutely.
just interrupts shit. It's great.
It's like you get a wave, and then this begins, and they start yelling at each other in moon speak. For those of you who speak Vestin, there's like the equivalent of like Rethold, you son of a bitch, and they do the thing from Predator with the good arm fist, right? But yeah, like she's there, she's wearing her best. She's had her hair in like 4 or 5 different stark blonde braids falling all over the place. Yeah.
I'm like, what product do you use? I can't get those ringlets. Like it's
Yeah, well, she's like, you gotta. I know you've been here a while, but you gotta stick it out long. It's the sea air here.
Yeah, no, it's the humidity because it's warmer and like.
Yeah. Yeah, it wrecks everything. You gotta adjust. She's like, now I go back home and like my hair just dries. It's
Oh.
crazy.
Okay, all right.
She as this exchange happens, she actually pulls out a couple like really well made combs, and like she starts like talking. She's like, get yourself, I can get you one of these. In fact, do you want to keep this one? It works on beards too.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Oh, you okay? Yeah. Well, you heard about the boats, right? Getting the ships. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
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 Because I don't
War
necessarily
and
trust.
beauty products.
I don't necessarily trust these fishermen to do it quiet, right? And so like if things get weird, yeah. All right.
You keep having to watch them. They're either too quiet or not quiet enough, or it's like you have to watch the levels constantly. It's like now it's time to yell.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Yell. Right.
Yeah.
Run. Pep in your step.
The captain of the guard, I've been working on him for like 2 years now. Finally getting where I like him, and now he's got a real job. The worst.
You get the like, yes, so he's one of yours.
Well, yeah,
right.
Jose.
Yes. Fine young man.
Can trust a Jose.
He seems like he's taken, or I would make a move.
Oh well, hey, yeah,
We're not sure.
I don't think it would hurt if you said something.
You think?
Well,
I mean, it could definitely push things in a direction.
he can be.
Are you
People
gonna-
wanting that direction to be
He can
chosen.
be a
One way or
little-
the other.
So he's an excellent swordsman, but he can be a little slow to pull the trigger.
We can fix that.
Well, that's why I'm saying, apply some pressure to the gem, so to speak.
She sort of swipes one of her braids back, and she's like, "Just give me an introduction. This is all I need."
Oh yeah, no, I'll get him in. Yeah, yeah.
Girl.
I grab whatever looks like a city functionary that's not at whatever level the rest of them are, and I'm like, and I say, Shawn Mendes. Sorry.
Shawn Mendes?
Yeah, Juan Mendes, because the joke is that it's Sean. But yeah, I'm like,
Yes.
I'm like, Juan Mendes needs to talk to the captain of the guard at the restaurant right now.
Right now.
Yeah, like you get some panic scrambling, and there's
I also
people
grab like a
starting to-
leg of mutton or whatever, and I like hand it to him like, for your trouble, go.
Get it.
Evine is also suddenly here
Yes.
Ah,
Right?
in the room with you.
Huh.
as usual. I've been here the whole time.
I throw
Yeah.
a turkey leg at him.
And honestly, just like also dressed to the nines, which like, how did you even know?
Right?
That's right.
Evine's at the restaurant for this city meeting.
I call
Just
them.
ready.
I
ready.
refer to her as some sort of mystic creature, like an elf, like a. Yeah, that's what made the shoes for the cobblers, right? Was just
Yeah.
elves.
Elves, yeah.
Yeah.
We play so many fucking fantasy games it doesn't feel right anymore. So I'm like,
true.
I call him some sort of crazy elf that just sneaks into people's homes.
Yep, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a Welsh dragon.
And I look over at the guild. I look over at the guild master. I'm like, if it doesn't work out with Jose, this one, I don't know what their problem is. So good luck.
Yeah, Evine, you get a look from head to toe from this tall, blonde, Vestan woman who looks a little bit like a female Rethold.
Yeah, if Rethold had breasts,
Right?
they wear the same kind of breastplate. It's unsettling on Rethold, but
Right.
it fills them out real nice.
Mm-hmm.
If they exchanged articles and like she exchanged the breast and like he gave her the beard, like it would be, it's kind of weird.
Spot on.
They do both look real good with that deep V vest situation. So
Yep, that's right.
Gotta like plunge the belly button situation.
So yeah, it takes a couple minutes, and the guy with the mutton leg is sort of walking back and is trying to explain that he ran into these two while he was trying to go out, and in comes Jose with Josefina, sort of closing the gap. And Jose tries to stand a little bit taller. That he's in a room with giants. And, physically and metaphorically, because he's trying to own his seat at this table now. So
He already owns it. He just hasn't realized it yet.
Oh no, I'm shameless on this one, and I give a quick furtive wink to the guildmaster, and I shoulder her and turn. I'm like, see, I told you, this is him. He's the man who followed us into the Westen Wold, or the Icen Wold. He came in with us. Didn't cry once. Didn't run out. Right? I'm just talking him up like, yes, he was in there the whole time. He kept his faith. Even with me shouting at him the whole time about how his god was fake and, whatever.
Right? He's your boy.
And I'm also
so you can tell
the
moment in his eye
yeah.
where he almost stops mid-step as he starts to hear you, but then he continues on with Josefina. They both take off their hats. Ulstafir is pretty shameless. She gives him a good hand grip, and she's looking him up and down. And then pulls him into a hug, and he's like, so this is a man who's going to clean our city. That's going to be good for business. You're one of Rethold's boys. I knew there was something I liked about you. Now she's having by the neck, and she's like pointing at him.
What's Josefina doing right now?
She coughs very loudly.
I find this entertaining, and I go, well, if you're not into him, there's also this one who was right there next to him the whole time. And then I start talking about Josefina.
Oh, wait, what? Wait, you could have those things coming up there.
Hey, I'm just wingmanning everybody. It's all good. You get what you like.
This is exactly the comment. He was like, oh, they come as a pit. Oh. You get like a punch on the shoulder.
I put my hand out like almost to her chest. I'm like, it's gonna take more than one comb if you get both. I'm just saying, like, we're gonna have to work out a different.
She's like, I got you covered. And it takes Josefina almost goes into a curtsy when the attention falls on her, but then it goes away, and she's a soldier again. But you, again, she's your girl too, Rethold, so you can catch the moment where old habits almost come to the top. But yeah, it's not long before she's like, we'll talk about this more. And she's walking with both of them back to the table, and she's like, you hang out with Rethold, you know how much we love stories. So you're going to tell me stories. You're going to sit here, and she's seating them, and she's like, I'm going to go get drinks. And when I come back, you're going to talk to me.
If there is a way, she will make it happen. Like that's what I'm getting from this.
I mean, she's clearly going to get them drunk, so.
And this is how I keep my money flowing. Just keep it working. What's up?
Everyone's happy. More money for Rethold.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a good vibe. It feels celebratory, despite the very serious implication of what happened today. It is not long before even Inquisitor Mazabi is drinking with the locals and exchanging some stories. Sebastian is seated next to him, and he's like, we're neighbors. Why is this the first time you're here? I'm almost offended. And again, the eyebrow from Elohim as he says that, and Mazabi's just like, it's fine. You're fine. So yeah, there's a lot of
Virginia is trying to get Elohim to like relax a little bit. Like she's telling him stories and being like, Ricardo, come meet my quiet friend.
Yeah, you if you sit with him, like you can actually get him to talk a little bit, and it's not long before you get like so where were you stationed?
Oh well. Let's start from the beginning.
Yep. So the war stories
Like 3 hours later
start to come out, and then you hear all about campaigns in the Crescent Empire where he started as a soldier, and battles all over all over Norton Ifri. Ricardo mentions the elephant at some point, and he's mentioning you that he was at least through one campaign where these were used as battle beasts, and he is not shy about telling you the effect it had.
It is equal part like that's awesome, and equal parts, but they're such gentle creatures. You should not use them for war.
Ibrahim is just like, don't let that fool you. They are stout warriors.
Yes.
He's just like dead serious. So yeah, there's this good vibe sort of hanging around.
I feel like if Sebastian is sitting with the Inquisitor,
oh yeah,
then like Jimena's on the other side of the table, like trying to act like she's cool about it because she understands that like this Inquisitor maybe is okay. He's still an Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Let's back to Sebastian, but the Inquisitor is there. And she's just sitting on the other end of the table, like stuffing her face, like she keeps like stealing glances, being like, when will he notice me?
I know it's legal to smoke pot, but it's still weird doing it next to a cop. I don't.
Yeah.
right also like Mazabi's totally cock blocking right now.
Well,
Right?
it's Sebastian is playing host, so technically everybody around this table is cock blocking, but
Yeah.
it is not long. If you're seated there,
he makes his rounds.
Senpai does look your way and actually does pulls a chair next to you to sit down.
Swings
for
his
a
leg
minute.
over the back of it like Riker.
Oh yeah. It's real
He's gonna
smooth.
break it down with me right now. We're gonna have a chill sesh.
Yeah, absolutely. He basically looks at you, and he looks at Rodrigo, and he's like, we talked a lot about serious things today, so forgive me if I just open with this. And then he pulls one of the baskets of bread and pulls a bottle of wine and puts 3 cups, and he's just filling these suckers. Like he finishes one bottle and puts it aside and gets a second bottle of the same to finish pouring their cups. And he's like, he sort of grabs one of these cups and looks at the both of you and says, to true comrades, may we stand in the coming storm forever together.
Forever. Oh. Jimena thinks that. She's like, once again, all the sconces suddenly get brighter.
Yeah, the people who are here for the first time think it's a feature of the room.
Ooh.
It seems to happen when particular people are here, but
Some of the
That's
people
what
who have
happens
been
when
here
everyone's
multiple
back to
times feel it's a feature of the room. So, you know.
It's like Rainforest Cafe. Every once in a while, there's a hurricane.
Yeah. So yeah, you get your Otome moment where like the edge of the screen start to blur as his
Yeah.
cup touches yours, but then it sort of disappears a little bit because Rodrigo's also comes into the frame, right?
God damn it, Rodrigo! What did I tell you?
Right? Just as he told you, he was gonna back you up.
Oh,
His, you know, like you get the perfect, you know, the perfect dating sim screen, and then like there's
Like-
Rodrigo's hand and cup just drifting into the frame.
I feel like I
and
just
it all
found
comes back to reality.
I found a relatively quiet corner. Like I'm like corner of the room because I'm conscious of Leandro being nervous and around people and just watching all this shit happen.
Well,
and just people watching.
You're with Leandro and Lavinia.
Yeah, we are in the quiet corner.
There's like a weird dark cloud that kind of.
That's right. But you're not exempt.
I'm doing the on two legs chair thing into that cloud. Like, let's go fucking chill and drink. This is what's up. Watch it happen.
Yeah. Food gets brought in. And there's a little bit of everything as usual. And before long, the loudest parts of the conversation start to die down, and Usha finally stops to say, I was struggling to figure out how to address you all. I feel friends and comrades is now the best way to encompass everybody in this room, as unlikely as it would have been even just weeks ago. I'm not exactly quite sure how we got here, but here we are, all seated at the same table, potentially contemplating the future of this city and of Odiseo as a whole. To be quite frank with you all, I'm not quite sure where to begin. It feels like we have won a major victory today, or at least that some knife at our throat was finally pulled away and its owner just dragged into the open. I feel like we can see clearly for the first time in what feels like months, if not years. But at the same time, at the risk of sounding a little pessimistic, what happened today will have consequences for us all.
Mm-hmm.
And while I am more than happy to extend the celebration for a while longer and to fully celebrate the new bridges we're building, I'm afraid we're also going to have to consider how we are to prepare for the tumultuous times ahead. That sort of injects like a good dose of seriousness into the room.
Nice downer, grounded. I'm just kidding. I don't do that.
Rethel's grinning like a Cheshire cat. He's already on top of this. He's like, "We got boats, baby."
Yeah. Ostafir is also sort of like looking at this like, oh, like this is gonna get interesting.
Should I bring up the thing? I probably will.
If Evine's anywhere nearby at this sort of like somber situation, I would like nudge him or like make aggressive eye contact. Like, does everyone else know? I think only Usha
Evine?
knows.
Evine is actually seated right next to you, as it so happens.
Always where I'm needed.
She's perched on the back of your chair.
I just already got bells on you. We need more bells. I don't.
She just like keeps conveniently using the bells.
No, the
Yeah.
bells are still there. It just doesn't matter.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just change the way I move.
There's like always a counterpoint, so it just like cancels it out somehow.
And
It's
yeah,
like
I'll even
Ninja
chuckle.
Turtles. You gotta remove all the bells without making a sound.
Right. Is this enough? I chuckle at her. I chuckle at Evine. I'm like, is Usha the only one that knows about your patron?
As far as you know.
Yeah.
Evine.
Think we should tell him?
Hmm.
And I just go, okay, and I keep sipping.
I guess I stand up because I'm like, I don't know how else to do this. Do I raise my hand? Do I stand? Do I don't
Right.
know.
You need the
Start
talking.
with a song?
You need the talking Stein.
I don't know. I feel
Someone
weird.
hand her the conch, quick.
You hold up your
So-
knife.
Always, I always assume Rethold has like the horn cup and not like a stein.
Oh yeah, no, it's always on me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I believe that before we go on to discuss our plans for the consequences, as they were, we do need to decide on what to do with Inquisitor Juarez. Some of us have talked about this already, and the prevailing opinion was that we should have a public execution. However, we would also like to make sure that all of the powers in the city agree on this course of action, so
All the
that
governors.
we can present a unified front. And when this news reaches Verdugo that we have taken action, we'll know that it was done with all of our agreement.
The Governor Perez and Usha sort of exchange a couple glances, and then they sort of both look towards Mazabi, and he stands up and states, as senior inquisitor and now sole inquisitor of this territory, I corroborate that we find Inquisitor Juarez guilty of treason and conspiration with illegal forces against the people of San Felipe. We deeply regret the action of one of our own members, and as such, want to join in on this effort to officially judge Inquisitor Juarez publicly. And in a way to make amends for the missteps of the Church of Theus, fully support the government of the city of San Felipe exacting justice upon Inquisitor Juarez. And he sort of
Jenna raises her glass like, yes.
Yeah, so does Jimena.
he sort of sits back down, and
As soon as Marilena started talking about it, Rethel got up to refill cups. So like he's probably already back with like.
Perez and Usha sort of mull this over a little bit, and then Perez basically says, "What say you, Captain Jose?" Right? It's almost like that.
I mean,
but
that's Rethel.
Standing
He's like
awkward the whole time, but
actually Rethel does a
just breaking the silence.
punctuate that with a burp, like a real crunchy one.
Jose stands up and says, he sort of gives a glance towards Landreville, who gives him like an encouraging nod. And Jose says, this seems like a proper course of action. The display made by Inquisitor Juarez was very public and endangered the population. I can testify to this in great details, as we've had to keep many of our citizenry safe. As such, I feel it would be a boon to our constituents to show them that not even inquisitors are above the law and will be judged if they take action against our city and its people. If that is the will of this table, myself and my second in command will take preparations for a public execution starting tomorrow or the next day.
I mean, do we even have a process for this? I just say I and hold my cup.
Yeah.
You sort of do that, and there's like a look around the table, like people are like, is this how we're doing this?
Is this how we're doing this? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it right now.
I was like,
Hopefully I don't look stupid.
Yeah, as soon as
You
Marlena does it, then Jimena comes in with the second, like I
Jenna.
guess. Like I guess.
And
I know she did it first.
as a little bit of the rest of the table is sort of lagging, you hear another I from Salvadora. And it's not long before all staff here is joining in. Jose abstains, but Sebastian gives a hearty I. And before long, the governor and the Grande also lend their voices to this. And Usha says, it seems like we are in agreement. By the power vested on us by the Crown of Castile. And she looks at Mazabi and the Church of Theus. Inquisitor Juarez is hereby found guilty of crimes against the Gran Ducado of Gallegos and will be thus put to death tomorrow. Captain Jose, if you would have your guards make the announcements for the population so that they know no enemy of this territory will be tolerated in our city.
I think this is a really good time to sit finally, so I just sit. Well, no one's looking.
I
your
also like that
husband.
Jose isn't even his real name. People just keep calling him Captain.
Yeah,
Jose.
That's right.
That's
Oh,
who he
it's
is
his name
now.
now.
Not even by like a last name.
That's his name.
Nobody has questioned it. It's not Josefina either.
No. She's
she
obviously
had a name
not.
once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's French. Not even.
She has a clear Montaigne accent.
That's
So,
beautiful.
but hey, you actually get a nod from Usha as you sit back down. You feel your husband's hand on yours immediately
Aw,
as you
I
take your
grab it.
seat. But Usha sort of gives you like a nod, and she says, "Thank you."
You're welcome.
And Perez actually leans forward and says, although the Grande and myself have not been on the same side of the house for long, we did have a few conversations about how to best bridge this gap, so to speak, and mend the old wounds that have been separating us. So this is what we would like to instill. I cannot say that this will always be the place where we meet and you get like a head shake from Sebastian at that, like just like. But I want there to be a space where all of your opinions will be listened to, and I mean all of you, weighed, discussed, and voted upon if we are in a disagreement.
Did we just birth democracy for this town, guys?
Well, it's oligarchy, but you know, hey, it's
Yeah.
you know, it's a representative government, absolutely.
Correct.
I mutter behind my mug that there's some nice real estate up on that street where that church is and where you're gonna build your house.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, I haven't heard back from my cousin who's gonna send me all my fucking gold so I can buy the land
No,
so that I
well-
can then build.
There's
Asura
plots.
is far.
There's also a smithy
Oh, are you,
that's
are you-
empty.
I was gonna say, are you talking about meeting at Roberto's
Ooh,
inn?
his little like cafe.
His tavern. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if it can host this group at capacity, then I think that'd be sufficient. I thought that there were
It
a
will
bunch of
fill the room, but Jenya, you know it would fit.
Yeah.
I thought there were some other plots up there on that street.
I mean, there are, but
Yeah.
I thought I was building homes for everyone.
Well,
Jenny is already plotting where she's gonna put all your people's homes.
well, we'll also need a home for the government, you know.
Right. You need a town hall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we can't just use the Sarante all the time.
Well,
I
she
mean-
has to fix up the little
Don't tell that to
chapel.
Sebastian. He'll break his heart.
I won't.
She's got a lot of fixing in that area to do.
But yes, it is clear that Governor Perez and myself have been holding on to our parts of this for quite some time. And our primary concern is the people of Odiseo. I trust that the people at this table also share this best interest, and all of you have proven that time and again. If we are to succeed here, it will not be with just the opinion of the governor and myself, but with all of yours. And in order to step into this future and prosper, we will need all the help we can get to ensure we're not destroyed before we can even begin.
I've sort of been like holding the Friends of Odiseo Liberation Front coin, and I look up at Evine again. I'm like, because obviously Evine's still just vultured on
Oh,
the
yeah,
back
yeah.
of my chair.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I guess these are collector's items now? Like,
Nice.
Yeah.
True that.
Your coin, your crow pin.
oh, the crow pins, those are members only jackets. Like those, yeah, you're like, I'm with the crows. I'm with the crows.
I still have like 3 prophet swords cloaks.
These will become collector's items
Yeah.
before long.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of this actually comes on the topic, and it actually comes from Beata, who's still smoking that obnoxious cigar. You can't see half her face because the smoke is so thick.
Wow.
And she says, I have opinions, but I'm not going to share them. I just want to put it out for all of you brainy people to discuss. What are we going to do with these sons of bitches who used to wear the red cloaks? There's a few of them that remain. I think some of them are willing to drop it and change sides, but are you gonna let them?
I look pointedly over at oh, actually, I don't think I would have talked to anyone about that. Yeah, I think I would look over at Mzabi and I'm like, I know a certain captain of the guard who is still a man of the faith, even though he doesn't wear the red cloak, and perhaps a few of them can see the error of their ways. And for any of us who know much about Isla de San Jose, I don't think any of us would be comfortable having that many armed individuals in one spot. So perhaps a short voyage to a far enough location for them to not be a problem. We definitely have ships at our disposal to do so.
Mazabi sort of nods and says, that seems absolutely fair. Obviously, many shamefully took Inquisitor Juarez aside, Captain Voritelli among them. The reputation of the Prophet's Sword as a specialized unit to keep the peace in San Felipe has obviously been tarnished, maybe beyond repair. So it may be time to simply dissolve it.
Is that something you can do here?
Oh, absolutely.
I see.
Voritelli made a very public display of his support for Juarez and died for it. In fact, I believe he died very publicly.
Yeah.
Therefore, it becomes difficult not to cast suspicion on the whole unit. Of course, we could investigate every single member one at a time, but I feel that would be a gross misappropriation of Inquisition resources when the simplest decision would be to disband the unit and offer those men and women who we know to be above reproach a commission into one of our other organizations. As for those who have been convicted of crimes, I agree. It is not in our best interest to hold them here in the city. We can send them elsewhere and cast them off. He sort of turns towards Beata, and she's already leaning in her seat, like just smoking a cigar. She raises her hand and just like, as good as any for me. Like, I just wanted to put it out. Like, my work here is done. You figure out your piece.
Yeah, but the cigar is not.
Right? Oh no. You're not quite sure because she lit that thing like a while ago. It's still about this long. Like, you're like, what is in this shit? Like, it doesn't.
It's like a magic cigar. It just
Oh
never
no,
goes.
it's one of those really tight packed ones. It goes for a while.
Right. Yeah. There's like about an inch probably gone from it. And it's, it's just like.
It's got a little gloopy monster in it that's gonna tell the witch where Hallow is.
You ever heard of a session? You ever heard of a session brandy? This is a session cigar.
That's right.
Nice.
That's right. You can tell that some people are not thrilled with it, and she's loving every minute of it.
Yes.
Just a
Up in their
little,
direction.
just off to the side, like right at him. Just no.
Yep.
Zhenya kind of clears her throat, and she says, "If we disband them, we have to relocate them, because if you leave disquiet in the streets just because you pulled the weed, if you do not take it out, it will reroot and grow again, and then we will have a new fight on our streets. But we already seem to have that with the Black Cloaks, who are rising against."
You feel Ricardo sort of tensing up.
Oh, she's holding his hand.
Yeah.
Goodness. Yeah.
General Cardoso actually frowns at that and says, I agree with Miss Zhenya on this. The Black Cloaks are our issue, and by that I mean that of every carrion crow. They are brother-in-arms that have stepped away from the original oath we swore. Regardless of ideology, we swore to protect one another in a world that did not always care for us. But these are men and women who took up arms against their comrades, and we cannot abide by this. If any more of them remain in San Felipe, I make the commitment right here and now that they are enemies of the carrion crow and will be hunted down mercilessly.
That sounds fair to me. It is your people, after all.
We will also add our ranks to the city guard, as was the original intent, to fill in that void and make sure the citizens are safe. That is our main concern. And if any, shall we say, loyalists to the Prophet's Sword are found, I would advise we give them the same treatment. If the unit is disbanded, it is every man and woman's responsibility to step forward. And if they do not and choose to play a game of cloak and daggers, then they've cast the die. If we find them, we will put them to the sword. He sits back down and gets a big pat on the back from Beata. She's sort of like wrestled on two legs of her chair at this point. She's not putting her feet up on the table because she's not that irreverent, but she's probably thinking about it. With that, Usha says, and that brings us to the other unpleasant topic, which is the Crown's response to our actions here today.
I slurp loudly while looking up at Evine.
While it's just maintaining eye contact,
Oh man, the whole time. The longest slurp
just
ever made.
uncomfortably long moment. She says, Governor Perez was originally placed here as a way to placate me and the people of Odiseo, to keep our eyes away from rebellion against the crown of Castile. Because above all, our people are loyal to Odiseo and Theus himself. Perhaps the crown comes a distant third. So the seeds of sedition had already been planted. It won't be a huge leap to start thinking that we are beyond salvaging or trusting. And there is a chance that the king's advisor will tell him to move against us to reclaim southern Castile on behalf of the crown. In fact, it is not only likely, it seems like the likeliest scenario. The question is not if, but when. I know many of you have chosen to stay here with us. I also know that for many of you, this is not your homeland. I will not question your dedication to the cause because you've proven yourself time and again, but I want everyone at this table to realize that we may very well be in a fight for our lives sooner than later. This is grim, as many of our allies will be unlikely to come to our aid and risk a war with Castile. There's like looks at the coughing, and Usha sort of like gives you a knowing nod, right? That said,
That was actually just Megan coughing. It just happened to be at a good time.
Nice.
it's perfect dramatic cough.
Dramatic cough.
But then she says, if we are to survive this, we will need to pool our resources, our people power, our brain power together in order to face this challenge. The Crown of Castile is much better resourced, and as much as I'm loath to think of it, Castile might call upon some of its allies in order to crush us. I cannot imagine the Cardinal will take this blow lying down. It will take his time, but he will feel obligated to address this affront. That said, I believe we are not without our, shall we say, secret resources. And I feel we're in a much better place to face this now than we were some time ago. And she sort of looks about the room. There's a look given at your group, especially, like, not really my place to announce this because it's
Everybody's just like, major hinting the thing, the elephant. Well, elephant. Who is the elephant in the room? It's actually Eugenia.
It can only be Genia. I feel like that gets super old. And it's like, who's the elephant in the room? It's like, it's Genya. Again.
If Evine doesn't pop up quickly, Jinya says, "As long as there is breath in my body, and there is earth beneath my feet, you have an ally in every plant that is here in Odyssea."
Get an emphatic nod from Ricardo and Veronica.
Would this be considered a hero point moment of me waiting to reveal?
Ooh, that sounds
Yes.
exactly
Plan
like
has
what
been
that
all
scene
along.
were.
Yes, Evine, the stage is set.
Aha, hero point at last.
Yeah.
Half the people here are just like, surprised, where'd that person come from?
So since you probably didn't interpret whatever she was wearing earlier of her finery to be her like official duds, but it somehow has become that. And
Yeah.
she's now like full knight of the court,
Oh, yeah.
courted, and she pipes up and is like, "Oh, by the way, you might have a fair bit of support from a lady like."
You're using your Inish voice and not your Avalon voice.
Oh, that's right. Sorry,
Right.
I was laughing too hard. Yes, you may have the full support of Lady Lane and her army.
Evine, are you okay?
Guys, I think somebody broke Evine.
Oh no, she's on demo mode.
Yeah.
Someone flipped the switch to Spanish behind her.
Hola, ¿cómo está? Me llamo Evine.
Okay. We just have to iron these out.
Oh,
Nice.
You got to pull out the
But yeah.
batteries, count to 30, put them back in.
There's a few audible gasps. The first one when you stand up, because yes, Evine, as was your intent, some people are now realizing what you're wearing,
mm-hmm.
and this is triggering some recognition. Sebastian is just like grinning ear to ear, fucking Cheshire cat grin. Like Jimena, you can almost feel like he's not saying anything, but like he's grinning, and you feel they're like, "Oh, I wanted to tell so bad." Like he's got that energy just emanating from him. Salvador has pulled her fan up, and neutral face, but from behind the fan there is a knowing smile at somebody whose long-term strategy has finally come into play, and she's looking mighty pleased with herself. Perez actually just looks in complete disbelief as Landreville sort of shares the shock, and as the realization settles in, starts smiling faintly.
I'm also casting a sidelong glance at the guild captain because I'm like, there's another force of naval might that would be upset if suddenly a major port.
Yep. You get like, as you
Bad for
look
business.
towards her, like she's holding her mug, and you get like a it's just silent, and then the mug goes up. There's a long pause, and Usha finally says again, "If it had not been presented to me in person by one of Elaine's knight in a document carrying the official seal of the Crown of Avalon, I would have believed this was a cruel joke." but it is real.
I mean, it's still a joke, but you know,
But you're in on it, so it's okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's a joke for everybody else
Mm-hmm.
because we get to tell it. And so she leans back in her seat, and that revelation, Evine, you almost feel the heroism investing you because the mood of the room has dramatically changed with that revelation. The implication is huge. You also realize from making that statement that this will allow you to complete your major assignment down here, which was twofold. One, assessing whether Odisseo would be an ally, but also figuring out at what stage was the construction of the Castilian Armada. So, as luck would have it, this might allow you to see it firsthand.
Neat.
So yeah, like there's like murmurs in the crowd around the table as to the implication, and
You can tell she totally lives for this shit.
they are, yeah, it just Evine's the dyes on Evine's clothes have gotten just like that much brighter, sharper.
it's like what she does with the fire, but like, on
Yeah,
her, that's weird. I don't. This is a weird
Right.
themed restaurant.
right. It's part of the experience. They
What do
put
you
something in
call
the
it?
food
What do you
here.
call this?
Weird TGI Fridays.
Yeah, I'm only coming here for the weird tchotchkes. And with that, you hear from General Cardoso just almost under his breath. Well, if war comes down to Odisseo, then a war is what we will have. And he turns to Beata and said, would you have believed this? She's just leaning in her seat, like puffing on that cigar. She's like, I'm not believing it now. So, but he sort of stands up and says, well, while our immediate concern will be bolstering the ranks of the city guard, keeping the city safe, and making sure we are securing it against threats, all of the Carrion's crew military might and know-how is yours. Please make use of us as you best see fit. And he sort of takes a seat back down. Usha that basically looks at the entire table and says, I believe this is far from the last time we will be meeting like this in the coming weeks and months. War is coming, but when it comes, we will be ready.
Hi, Diana.
Ricardo seems to glow a little bit more at that
Is he
notion.
using a new moisturizer?
I'm not sure.
He's rubbing off on me, or I'm rubbing off on him.
Yeah.
Since I can glow, he can too.
Everybody is
Aw.
rubbing off on, but he stands a little bit straighter, like a career soldier getting back to what he knows best. Veronica looks a little apprehensive, but hopeful. Marlena, you sense just a little bit of a nervous tremor from your husband.
Aw.
But when you look, there is a ironclad determination in his eyes as he's looking around this table. Similarly with Lavinia.
Oh.
And as you turn towards her, it's creepy because she never looks back when you look. But
Seriously, I don't know. She like doesn't blink. Does she like even I don't know sleep? Does she...
She has like
No.
the alligator slits, so she doesn't
Right.
have to blink her whole eye. They just like
right, her eyes do both. Like it's like a
yeah.
Reticulated or something like that.
Yeah.
But the moment you turn towards her,
Is she already looking at me?
she's sort of looking like at the table and at the assembly. No, she's not looking at you. But the moment your eyes lie on her, she says, "Now I really want to see where this path goes."
Well, you're here for the ride.
She's probably seeing into the next dimension, watching all the threads go over
Yep.
each other.
Yeah, probably.
If you ask her, she'll be like, "I see an arrow."
I have heard of this arrow through time, but I'm
Yeah.
not quite skilled enough or tuned enough to
Passing
see it
through this
myself.
world and through the next.
Only Evine knows its secrets.
That's right.
It's got a tail of rainbow sparks,
Yeah.
and it tastes like purple.
Yes. Yeah. So anyone else wants to add on this? Again, the mood went from fun to somber, and now there's like a shit, we might be able to pull this off. Evine, you've never been more popular. Normally, like people say hi and then
You forget
they're
you're
like
there.
Maybe.
they forget where you were by the time they get their second drink, and they're like, wasn't there somebody sitting here like that was talking to you a little bit ago? But right now you become a popular attraction where a lot of people suddenly start calling you dame, and
Oh, wow.
you know, like you get the full
It's like your debutante ball.
yeah. It's a I never
Finally came out.
knew, right?
We knew before it was cool.
Right.
Oh, don't get it twisted. She's still just rabble.
Right. But yeah, the table with that sort of announcement, people are already starting to think of ideas, starting to talk with a little bit about what their next steps are going to be with their neighbors, right? Like what they can start tackling right away. Poor Jose ends up with a list of action items for him to tackle before the next meeting. But chief of which is to organize a public execution, which is like, well, you know, first week on the job, why not? Let's just get this done.
Yeah,
Let's
first
get it all
week.
out.
Hang an inquisitor. What's next?
Yeah.
Fend off a invasion.
Hang evil inquisitor. Round up wayward prophet sword and black cloaks.
Yep.
End up in
And-
threesome, maybe?
Hey,
That might actually happen tonight, though.
who knows? That's for Ulstafir, this is now a long-term quest item. She wrote it in her journal, so she's like, "Oh yeah,
She did.
I'm still gonna do that."
That's a thing.
Any other items you'd like to bring up as these conversations start to break down?
I mean, nothing really. I mean, I think I've already done like the all the speaking that I would like to do at this.
Right?
It's like
Evine got to make a big reveal. So
She finally got a hero point.
Yeah.
Cloak flourish. Don't worry, Evine. You people are coming. You're gonna get plenty of opportunities now.
Mhm.
Hey, by the way,
Revealing things right and left.
did I ever
Yeah.
show Leandro that awesome cloth that we got off the pirate ship?
Yeah, I believe you did. Oh, he's all over that shit.
I bet he is. I know what he likes.
Leandro is already talking about what his role should be in the upcoming conflict.
Oh,
So,
I mean, I'm trying not to push it. No, he's been through some
well,
rough shit, but
he
if he
seems
wants to be part of it, then
he seems to want to work through it and mentions his skills as an organizer plus his admittedly smaller length of time as part of a spy network. So
I mean,
some of that is
I
at
feel
your
like I
disposal.
set up this shop just for him because that's exactly what it's doing.
So
Here's number one operative, baby. Yeah.
yeah.
Hey man, this is
Um,
eating.
Rodrigo is
She's
already
got a drink. She's got a
drunk.
cousin. She's got a man. Perfect.
Jimena, Rodrigo's already sloppy drunk, and it's way too early for this to be happening. But
Is it though?
boy had to work through some feelings,
Took off his
so yeah, it's not long before Sebastian is hanging out with the two of you. He seems highly entertained by your cousin's antics, but he does tell you now that this is an official thing. I believe your role as official liaison
Mm.
will keep you much more busy.
Wink, wink, hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Yep.
You can keep me busy. Liaisoning.
A wink's as good as a nine to a blind bat.
There's a bit of a sideward grin as he puts the cup to his mouth, and he's like, "Oh, don't tempt me."
Nice.
She like spits back in her cup and she's like, nah.
you get a hearty laugh.
In your nose.
Like, he
Back.
needs to go and distract Rodrigo somehow.
One sconce just explodes.
Oh, fuck!
Right off
It's
the
time for the
wall.
fireworks.
It just like spurts flame and explodes.
Like
Just like
it's Jimena's version of a nosebleed. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, kinda. That's how she blushes. It's just all the lights get brighter.
oh,
Well,
right.
see, if we do these meetings at Roberto's place or whoever then it's just like
Roberto.
a fireplace and some fire pits. So that way it's not likely to burn down the place. This will be safer.
No candles. Put them all out before you come.
Hey, there's some advantages. This is supposed to be your neighborhood eventually. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to rebuild this building too. I've already got 4 on my plate. This is not one I want to rebuild. Make nice, okay, but not rebuild.
all right. Well,
I was gonna say the last thing Jenny would do is actually go pay respects to Salvadora, because
she's just thrilled.
Yeah.
Like she looks happy as can be.
Yes, we'll be happy while we still can.
She sort of like asks you to sit like besides her, and Luna Maria actually pulls up a chair for you.
oh, wow.
Yeah, she says she looks towards Ricardo and Veronica, and she's like, "Do you remember a while ago where you were still looking for your sister? You asked me what you should be doing next, and I told you just to hang along. Sometimes things have a tendency to work out if you just wait long enough."
I'm beginning to understand this. But it helped that he said something and asked me to stay.
She starts laughing and says, "Well, I am glad. We will need you. I will need you.
There is more here of, how do I say that? There is more of my people's magic here than I have felt in other places. And every day I am here, I feel the connection getting stronger.
She sort of flutters the fan at herself a little bit. And she's like, I understand that perfectly. I too am far from my homeland, but it has never left me.
It's good soil here.
That it is.
My home too.
She actually puts a cup in front of you and grabs one, and she says, 2 successful ventures.
And to protecting what is important.
And there's a clink of the cups as you both exchange a drink. All right. If you're not having other conversations, I think we'll call it here for tonight. Give yourself a 3 XP, crew.
Hoot.
And next
Speaking of-
time, we
Go ahead.
start showing up.
Trouble.
That's right. Well, when is trouble not coming?
Love it.
I mean,